Did you know that the lats have inner and outer regions, and that studies show you can preferentially work one more than the other? And that if all you're doing to work your lats are pull-ups, lat pulls, and straight arm pull downs, you're only significantly engaging the middle region and leaving massive side lat gains on the table. Or did you know that having tight lats can lead to shoulder dislocations, rotator cuff injuries, and even lower back pain? Well, based off of your feedback from my last video, I decided to extend the muscle breakdown sections of these videos to 5 minutes or less instead of 2. However, the purpose of this series is still to take hours of exercise science and training info on a muscle, cut out all the fluff and lengthy explanations, and hit you with only the key takeaways as concisely as possible. And in this episode, I'll be going over absolutely everything you need to know about training the largest back muscle, the latissimus dorsi, aka the lats, which was the most requested muscle from your comments on my last video on the calves. And if you like what you see here, please let me know by hitting that like button, commenting below on what muscles you'd most like me to go over next, and be sure you're subscribed and have new video notifications turned on so that you don't miss those muscles when I do them. Let the 5 minutes on the lats begin. First, some quick facts. The lats cover more surface area on the body than any other muscle. The medial fibers are mostly oriented horizontally, while the lateral fibers are mostly oriented vertically, which affects how they behave. The lats are made up primarily of type 2 fast-twitch muscle fibers, so heavy, powerful, or explosive contractions will work them best. There are more movements that work the lats than any other muscle in the body, which we'll go over shortly. And finally, in some people, the lats are actually attached via extra tendons to the pecs or biceps, forcing those muscles to work together even more than they normally do. The lats fibers have many different origination points, including from all the vertebrae in the bottom half of the spine, the sacrum, the hips, the lower ribs, and the thoracolumbar fascia in the lower back. All the fibers converge and then twist around each other before inserting on the front of the humerus. And that twisting aspect also significantly affects how the lats behave. For example, it makes this twisting pull-up variation one of the best ways to target the lats. And finally, the lats are innervated by 3 different branches of the thoracodorsal nerve. Because the lats origins are behind their insertion point on the arm, when they contract, they perform shoulder extension. So exercises that pull the arm back from out front will target the lats. However, most people do these pull downs with their arms pronated, aka an overhand grip, when using a neutral arm actually activates the lats more. Since its origins are also medial to their insertion point, when the lats contract, they also perform shoulder adduction. So exercises that pull the arm from the side back to a neutral position will target them as well. And once again, a neutral grip engages the lats more than a pronated grip does. Because the lats wrap around the inside of the humerus, when they contract, they internally rotate the arm. So all internal rotation exercises work the lats. However, doing the internal rotation with your shoulder abducted or raised to the side targets the lats significantly more than when it's adducted or neutral. Since the lats have origins that are below their insertion, they also perform shoulder depression. So exercises that pull the shoulders down also engage the lats, which is actually the primary reason why you can bench more weight in a decline position or with your back arched, since you're then adding an element of shoulder depression to the movement, which engages the lats. However, shoulder depression works the lats best when the arms are fixed overhead, and when the motion is angled backwards. Since the lats have origins that are below their insertion on the side of the body, they also perform lateral flexion of the spine. So exercises that pull the upper body to the side also target the lats, especially when the lateral flexion is angled slightly backwards. And finally, since they also have origins that are on the back of the pelvis and lower spine, when they contract, they perform anterior pelvic tilt and lower spinal extension. So exercises that rotate the hips backwards and or extend the lower back will also target the lats. And believe it or not, there are actually even more movements that the lats perform, but they're a little too complex for our purposes in this video and aren't as easily applied to exercises. Due to the many factors that influence region-specific hypertrophy, which I covered in a previous video that I'll link below, no 2 of those movements works the lats exactly the same. And studies showed that the lats are functionally separated into 2 main regions, medial and lateral, or inner and outer. And they can even be independently stimulated by different branches of the thoracodorsal nerve with little to no overlap. And each of the movements that we just went over works one of those regions more than the other. The movements that preferentially work the inner lats are shoulder extension, shoulder adduction, and shoulder internal rotation. While the movements that preferentially work the outer lats are shoulder depression, lateral flexion of the spine, and anterior pelvic tilt and lower spinal extension. So you can now see that the only lat exercises that most people do all preferentially target the inner lat region. While if you want to widen your back and get that lateral lat definition, you need to target the outer lat region. And now you know how. By far, the two most common compound exercises people do to target the lats are the pull-up and lat pull, which are actually the same movement and primarily work the shoulder adduction aspect of the lats, just with a bent elbow. The most important things to know about these two exercises are: an overhand grip engages the lats more than an underhand grip. A wide grip of about double your shoulder width does work the lats best, but only during the eccentric phase. So you should either overload the negative phase or emphasize it by going more slowly. Angling the pull so that your arms are in front works the lats better than with them in back. Because with them in front, you're adding an element of shoulder extension to the adduction, thus working two lat movements. Behind the head also puts your shoulders at high risk of injury. So although the Will Smith pull-up may look cool, you should avoid it. And finally, the max contraction half of the motion engages the lats the most, while the max extension half works the lower traps more. So to selectively target your lats, you should include partial range of motion reps at the top of a pull-up or bottom of a lat pull. I've also developed a compound lat technique that combines 4 different lat movements into a single exercise for maximum lat activation. It's done with 2 cables above and behind you, set 2 shoulder widths apart, then combining shoulder adduction with shoulder extension, shoulder depression, and internal rotation. And note that the internal rotation is performed while the shoulder is abducted, which, as we went over, targets them best. If you don't have access to cables, you can perform the same motion with dumbbells on a decline bench, or for a better angle while hanging upside down, although neither is quite as effective as the cable version. And if you're not used to hanging upside down, I don't recommend trying this because it can be easy to fall and injure yourself. While actual lat tears are rare, it is very common for weightlifters to have injuries that come as a result of having lats that are too tight, because they limit your overhead range of motion and chronically depress and internally rotate your humerus, all of which commonly cause rotator cuff damage and can even cause your shoulder to dislocate when put under stress. Tight lats are also a common undiagnosed cause of lower back pain due to its many origination points in that area. So it's essential to mobilize and stretch your lats, which can be done by holding onto something with your arm over your head, letting it pull your shoulder up, and then leaning in towards that side. It's also highly effective and beneficial to loosen your lats via myofascial release, which can be done at home by pressing and rolling a small ball between your lats and a wall. And there you have it. Everything you need to know about working the lats. Like before, if you want to see a longer version of this video that explains the key points and research in a lot more detail, you can find extended versions of all the videos in this series within the 5-minute muscle mastery section of the All Access Basic membership, which also features well over 1,500 different science-based exercise tutorials, including hundreds of additional back and lat techniques, and much, much more. And I will put a code for a free month of the membership in the video description below so that you can get in, check out the mastery videos and everything else completely risk-free. Now, if you're looking for a full workout program that integrates all of these lat techniques into a comprehensive science-based total back program that has the weights, reps, sets, supersets, and everything else, you'll want the Hypertrophy Series Total Back Program, which has now led hundreds of people like yourself to achieve incredible results. And I'll also link that in the video description below for you to check out as well. And finally, for more free top-tier health and fitness content, you can join Fitness Tip Friday, my extremely popular weekly newsletter that is always short, significant, and science-based. And once again, guys, if you like this video, please let me know by hitting that like button, letting me know in the comment section below what muscles you'd most like me to go over next, and be sure you're subscribed and have hit that bell icon so that you can be notified when the next videos in this series have been released, because I'm eventually going to be hitting every muscle in the body, and you won't want to miss them. Mahalo, my friends! Until next time.